into the future where the glass is half full and you'll need new glasses, where you'll be jumping from conclusions.
The past is annulled and a new future is born.
Never before in history has so much meant so little to so many. AD on the radio.
So, I couldn't watch the March for Our Lives. I was working for a big chunk of Saturday. Saw Emma Gonzalez's speech and shed tears of grief over the death of the children, her classmates, that she so eloquently described. And then I couldn't handle it anymore. I couldn't handle it because of the venom it was bringing out in people. It's a profoundly sad thing. It's a time of national mourning. And the aggressive side-taking, the dismissal of those that think differently, the condemnation of other people who have a differing idea of how to best protect our children and give them a real chance at life, was stomach-churning. And I couldn't handle it. I just felt so disappointed in so many people. This show's on a couple places in Florida. The show's on in a couple places in Florida. And we're on in Orlando. And remembering what happened after the Pulse shooting, well, that changed, I think, how I look at gun violence now and probably forever. Just because there were so many issues at play there. And you and I have talked about this in the past, but I think why the Pulse shooting was so significant was it was a real lesson to me and hopefully many others that we all matter. We all count. What we feel, each and every one of us, counts. Hopefully it counts because we're all human beings and we get respect from our fellow American human beings. And legally it counts because, well, that is our right as Americans, to count, to matter. And after the Pulse shooting, I'll never forget, there were people that thought, oh my gosh, this was an act of violence against the LGBTQ community. It's frightening because of that. There were other folks that said, this is a gun control issue. If he hadn't had access to this gun, he wouldn't have been able to do this. There were other folks that went, this is a matter of religiously motivated radical Islamic terrorism. We have to do something about that. And there were other folks that went, the police saved no one, couldn't get there in time. We can't count on them. Please don't take away my ability to defend myself in these situations. Don't take away my ability to defend myself, my family, the people, and the things that I love. All of these viewpoints, all of them, every last one of them, mattered. I remember going, you're all right. Every last one of you is right. Every last one of you is right to be passionate and afraid. Because so much of this comes from fear. Everybody's point of view here matters. We're all Americans. So you're going to encounter people, no matter what you think of guns. You might think that guns are your last line of defense, and please don't take them from me. You might think that completely 100% doing away with guns is the only solution to this problem. But you're going to encounter people, no matter what you think of guns and what the best solution to gun violence is, you're going to encounter someone who feels very, very different than you. If you're one of our listeners in Florida, you're going to encounter people who are deeply shaken and passionate about these issues. And I guess what I'm asking you to do, and what I'm begging you to do really, is that you try to understand. We are all on the side of our children. We are all on the side of protecting them. We are all real people with opinions and hearts and grief and sorrow who are mourning. So please, as much as you want to speak, listen, pay attention, and understand that by listening to one another and not trying to shout each other down, by listening to each other and not trying to shout each other down, this is the way, this is the only way our kids will have a chance. Without feelings of respect, what is there to distinguish men from beasts? Confucius.
Say ho, ho, say ho, ho, ho. Let's start the show. Let's start the show.
Real radio.
104.1.
Where the left and right come together for fundamental truths. AD on the radio, on Twitter at ADSXE.
So, did you see what Rick Santorum said, Travis? Did you catch this?
I'm not a big Rick Santorum fan, so I'm trying to think, like most times when Rick Santorum opens his mouth, I'm amazed at what comes out. I don't know what he said this time. Maybe I heard it and I was just like, oh, Rick Santorum, you idiot. What did he say?
And by the way, like, I don't know if you've caught this or not, but Travis is sort of, you don't like labels and whatnot, and you're one of those people that believe you're here for the show when it comes to politics. But I would say that, a lot of your values maybe lean a scotch conservative, as do Rick Santorum's, but But do you remember when he was actually making some noise when it was the presidential race, and it was Romney and it was Obama, and Santorum was definitely up in the mix, and people were like, oh my gosh, like Santorum's actually picking up some speed, and like right as it looked like he was going to be a real threat to either one of them,
he opened his mouth.
He was like, and also, if I'm elected president, I'll ban pornography. Yep. And everyone was like, oh, that was cute. Okay, we're done with him. Like, I think, even like Mormon Romney, who definitely believes that stuff causes him to blow it with God. Like, he was just like, oh, you do. Okay, fine. Whew, don't have to worry about that, dude. So, like, every time he opens his mouth, the collective unconscious gets a little bit stupider. But former U.S. Senator Rick Santorum stirred up some controversy when he went on CNN and accused the students of shirking the responsibility for their school shooting problem. He said that they're passing the blame onto lawmakers who aren't doing enough to save their friends' lives. He said, quote, how about kids, instead of looking to someone else to solve their problem, do something, maybe take CPR classes or try to deal with situations so when there's a violent shooter, you can actually respond to that. Let's just take a look at the key part of this sentence that bothers me the most. How about the kids, instead of looking to someone else to solve their problem, do something? First and foremost, these are kids. You insensitive a-hole. But that doesn't even come close to it doesn't even come close to the real problem that I have with this sentence. Let's for one tiny second assume that he wasn't being a sizzling D-bag and the level of insensitivity to this situation wasn't off the freaking charts. Let's just remind ourselves of the fact that he's a politician. What are politicians? They're what's the expression? Public servants. And what do servants do? Oh, they serve the public. That's what politicians do. They're public servants. You serve the public. And where does the money come from? If you're a public servant that serves the public, where do you get your money from? Oh, that's right. Off of our blood, sweat, and tears. You take money out of our tax dollars to be a public servant, to serve the public. So going, why are you looking at us to solve your problems? When you're a freaking public servant and that's your job, you're literally getting paid for that sort of thing. It's just beyond the pale. And it's so unbelievably stupid. It's like, you realize when you say these things, people can hear you, right? I don't know if you realize this, but you're using your speaking voice You know, that thing where you're supposed to sort of filter out the moronic stuff that makes people think you're a knuckle-dragging idiot that shouldn't be allowed to... You're a knuckle-dragging idiot that couldn't be trusted to sit the right way around on a toilet. Those are the things that should not come out of your head. You should filter them and dumb them up a little bit before you actually say them. He said the students didn't take action to say, how do I as an individual deal with this problem? How am I going to do something about stopping bullying within my own community? What am I going to do to actually help respond to the shooter? Those are the kinds of things where you'd say, here's how I'm going to do this. Here's how I'm going to help the situation, instead of going and protesting and saying, oh, someone else needs to pass a law to protect me. So dumb. So mind-numbingly stupid, so mind-numbingly insensitive and self-serving. It's just, I
don't know if I've ever mentioned this, but I really don't like Rick Santorum.
Right. Yeah, no, I think...
I don't know if it's come up once or twice on this show, my dislike for him, but I'm just not a fan.
Well, I mean, how could you be a fan? Like, I don't know. I'm waiting to see how he walks this one back, but it's just a reminder. And by the way, Rick Santorum was the guy who, long after his presidential hopes were dead and gone, he still had that PayPal link up on his website, Rick Santorum for President. If you want to donate, hold on, donate to what? You don't have a presidential campaign, but you didn't take down the collection plate, did you? No. You continued to panhandle for campaign finance when you didn't even have a campaign going. And then what did he do? This is a guy who decided, I'm not really sort of any good at politics. I'm not able to compete at a presidential level, so I'm going to go all Hollywood. I don't know if you caught this or not. He made a god-awful Christmas movie called The Christmas Candle. This was his big thing. He was like, I didn't make it as president, so I'm going to Dallas, which I consider to be the conservative Hollywood. There's this idea that Dallas is the conservative Hollywood. That's where sort of conservative and Christian movies are going to get made. And he went and made a Christian movie in an attempt to cash in big dollars. He was like, oh, it's such a fantastic market. He talked about this stuff. He was like, Christian movies, much lower budget, but a very specific audience, so they tend to do really, really well. This is not the spirit of a person that wants to serve the public. This is a spirit of a person who wants to make money off of your religious beliefs and your political beliefs. This guy is a freaking snake oil salesman that needs to be... bound and gagged. I don't know. That'd be a nifty start for the Rick Santorums of this world. But God, painful.
Money making, skills on the mic, we paid every day, and part of the battle just better act like you know.
For more stimulation and less irritation, 9 out of 10 doctors choose KPRC AM 950, Houston's more stimulating talk radio.
Don't get the blues, get all the news. We mean all of you guys out there in Radio Land. All aboard!
He's back. AD on the radio.
So what do we know about... I didn't see it. I don't know. I don't find myself watching a lot of television over the weekend. Or, actually, I don't find myself watching a lot of television. When was the last time you went, oh, my show's on, I'm going to go watch?
Never. Like, I think when I was like 9 or 10. I think that's like the last time. No, it was probably, I think when I was a kid is like the last time that I actually had, what do they call that in TV? Appointed viewing? Is that what it's called?
Appointment viewing. Yeah, that's exactly what they call it. Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, I watch baseball, but I don't watch that on TV. I watch that over like the MLB At Bat app, which I can stream to my television, but mostly I watch it on my computer and I watch it on my phone. But yeah, I can't remember the last time I went, oh, my show's on, I got to watch. But apparently a lot of people did that with this Stormy Daniels 60 Minutes thing. Did that air? That was a thing that happened over the Sunday, right?
Yeah, it was on Sunday.
Yeah.
It was interesting. Yeah. Did you see the details?
Well, I find that I have to unplug. Over the weekend because we deal with this stuff day in and day out. And, besides the fact that, I don't know, I had to, walk Millhouse and clean the grill and run a bunch of errands and all this sort of stuff. There's times where you just need to live your life and be a human being and not bother yourself about what's going on in the world, because otherwise I think it can send you literally insane. Like a lot of the people that are really big in this game, of talk radio or news or all of the above, I think if you look at the people that have been around it for a significant amount of time, they do start to go a little loopy. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
I think it does kind of send you mad. And, this is early days for me. I've been doing talk radio for 5 years now? So I'm not like a lifer with this stuff, but I've seen enough people who are to go like, you got to be able to switch it off and unplug every once in a while. Otherwise, you're going to not only go insane, but also lose a very important piece of perspective. And that is the piece of perspective of a normal person. So for that reason, didn't see the Stormy Daniels 60 Minutes thing on TV yesterday. What exactly went down?
There were like 5 big takeaways and a bonus that was interesting.
Ooh, a bonus round of Stormy?
There was a bonus round of Stormy. It was interesting and didn't really say anything, but kind of may have said something. So, like the boring stuff up front, she said they only had sexy time once.
Only the one time. Okay.
She said that he bragged about being on the cover of a magazine and she wasn't impressed. And after she told him that somebody should take that magazine out and spank him with it, she did spank him with it.
Oh, I believe I have some audio. Let's take a listen.
It started off all about him, just talking about himself. And he's like, have you seen my new magazine?
He was showing you his own picture on the cover of a magazine.
Right. And so I was like, does this normally work for you? And he looked very taken back, like he didn't really understand what I was saying. And I was like, someone should take that magazine and spank you with it. And I'll never forget the look on his face. I don't think anyone's ever spoken to him like that, especially, a young woman who looked like me. And I said, give me that. And I just remember him going, you wouldn't. Hand it over. And so he did. And I was like, turn around, drop him. So he turned around and pulled his pants down a little. He had underwear on and stuff. And I just gave him a couple swats.
This was done in a joking manner.
Yes. From that moment on, he was a completely different person.
Do you believe that, Travis? Does that sound like reality to you?
I don't find her, personally, from just my personal uninformed opinion, she doesn't scream of being incredibly credible. But do I think that probably happened? Yeah, I think it probably happened.
And you know what? It's so much less lascivious than the way it was painted. Like, Donald Trump likes to have his ass spanked with his own picture. And it was like, the way she painted that was like, oh, that totally sounds like a thing. I 100% understand how that happened. It is not, it's nowhere near as juicy as we thought it would be.
Imagine that the press sold it as something it wasn't. I can't believe it.
Oh my gosh. It's almost like 60 Minutes wanted people to watch. We'll finally get the truth about Donald Trump having his ass smacked with his face.
Oh my God. Oh, that's funny.
What else? What else have we learned?
So Melania had just given birth to Barron a few months before, and Stormy Daniels said she asked about the situation and was told, oh, yeah, don't worry about that. We have separate rooms and stuff.
Huh.
It didn't stop her. Apparently she didn't care and continued with it, but oh well. I
don't know. Like, here's the thing. Like, if you're someone that's cheating, or if you're someone that's helping someone cheat, and that person is Donald Trump, like, I am not saying that the moral fiber from which Stormy Daniels is woven is all that tight knit. Is that a good way of saying it?
Right. Yeah.
But like, I could also see like, he's a bazillionaire. He's Donald. Who knows what the hell sort of situation or arrangement, folks have going. Like, you never know. And if he's like, it's totally fine. We have separate rooms. It doesn't matter. Like, but I think that's like the whole takeaway. We have separate rooms, more than 11, it's just like,
yeah.
Have you ever cohabited with a significant other, Travis?
Yeah.
Have you ever slept separately and had it not be that big of a deal?
Yeah. I mean, like, so here's the deal. Like, I sleep on the couch Always. Like, I
Really?
love, yeah. Like, when I was living in the Virgin Islands and Puerto Rico, like, I had the most comfortable couch in the world, and I loved to sleep on the couch. And so, like, yeah, I did share, I did cohabitate. And at one point, a friend of ours from the island moved in with us because he didn't have a place to stay or something. And he was like, well, where are you going to sleep? I'm like, oh, dude, I sleep on the couch. And he's like, why would you sleep on the couch? I'm like, because I love to sleep on the couch. I don't know. I've always loved to sleep on the couch. Even when I was the only one in my place, I slept on the couch. I loved that couch. Like, so yeah, I mean,
I've been told many times in the past, like, don't come to bed if it's like, I have really weird sleep patterns. I have really weird work schedules. And I also have had insomnia since I was like 8 years old. So there have been many times over the years where I've been told that if it's after this time, don't come into bed. Like, you'll wake me up. I got stuff to do tomorrow morning. I understand you, nighttime radio dude, don't have to wake up until whenever the hell you feel like it. But that's not how the rest of the world works for us. And if you wake me up, I'll be cranky. So don't do it. So, like, I mean, I've spent plenty of time couch sleeping, and it hasn't been that big of a freaking deal. What else?
I'm like single now, like, not to dwell on it. I'm single now, but like, if I ever get married, I will have to have my own bed. Not because I like to sprawl out in the bed. I don't like to be confined. So, I mean, I need room. That's just, anyways, but moving on. A year after,
and by the way, I'm not trying to mitigate the circumstances of Donald Trump sleeping, not sleeping with his wife. I'm just saying, like, it's just like, this is, the whole thing worked out to be significantly less juicy than I think a lot of people were hoping. But what's the other big takeaway?
Okay, so a year after the whole deal happened, they met in L.A. to discuss the possibility of her going on Celebrity Apprentice. There was no sexy time, but she said that he was watching Shark Week, and he made her sit there and watch a documentary about shark attacks.
I think, yeah, she said that she only got involved with Trump because of Celebrity Apprentice. She said that she thought the whole thing was a business deal, and she knew he was dangling the show in front of her to get more sack time, but she figured she could use him to, hold on, let's have a listen to this.
And this was not a secret. He never asked me not to tell anyone. He called several times when I was in front of many people, and I'd be like, oh my God, he's calling. And people were like, shut up, the Donald? And I put him on speakerphone, and he wanted to know what I was up to and when can we get together again. I just want to give you a quick update. We had a meeting. It went great. Totally into the idea. And I was like, that part I never believed.
Did you still get the sense that he was kind of dangling it in front of you?
Oh, for sure. Oh, yeah.
To keep you interested, to keep you coming back?
Of course. But at the same time, maybe it'll work out,
Did you view it as, this is a potential opportunity, I'm going to see where it goes?
I thought of it as a business deal.
By the way, all you old guys trying to get with young women, don't kid yourself. They all feel this way.
You were 27, he was 60. Were you physically attracted to him?
No.
Not at all?
No.
Did you want to have sex with him?
No. But I didn't say no. I'm not a victim. I'm not.
It was entirely consensual?
Oh, yes.
You work in an industry where condom use is an issue. Did he use a condom?
No.
Did you ask him to?
No. I honestly didn't say anything.
After you had sex, what happened?
He said that it was great. He had a great evening, and it was nothing like he expected, that I really surprised him, that a lot of people must underestimate me, that he hoped that I would be willing to see him again, and that we would discuss the things that we had talked about earlier in the evening.
Being on The Apprentice.
Right.
I think the only scandalous thing that really came out of it was the idea that maybe she was threatened over the Trump story. Do you have anything about that, Travis?
I do. That's the last thing. And I don't know if I believe this. It's just me, though. I don't know. She says a man threatened her in Las Vegas in 2011 after she had sold the story about the affair to a magazine for $15,000. She says a guy walked up to her and said to her, leave Trump alone, forget the story. And then he leaned around, looked at her daughter and said, that's a beautiful little girl. It would be a shame if something happened to her mom. And then he left.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh.
I was in a parking lot going to a fitness class with my infant daughter, getting all the stuff out, and a guy walked up on me and said to me, leave Trump alone, forget the story. And then he leaned around and looked at my daughter and said, a beautiful little girl, it'd be a shame if something happened to her mom. And then he was gone.
You took it as a direct threat?
Absolutely. I was rattled. I remember going into the workout class and my hands were shaking so much I was afraid I was going to drop her.
Did you ever see the person again?
No. If I did, I would know it right away. I'll never forget it.
You'd be able to recognize that person.
100%, even now, all these years later.
See, I mean, that... Okay, she also said that she wanted to set the record straight, whatever the hell that means. But if someone, let's for one teeny tiny second imagine that's true. And let's remove the fact that this is Stormy Daniels, and let's remove the fact that this is that this is the president here. If someone had directly threatened you, you'd want to go after him. You'd want to make sure that you did everything you could to protect your kid. That said, would you wait 11 years to do it? Because I wouldn't. You know what I mean? Like, it'd be like, oh, somebody threatened me. I'm going to do something about this right now, right away, right now. But I don't know. Maybe she feels like there's so much visibility with this situation now where she has the freedom to do it where she maybe didn't have in the past. Like, did you know who Stormy Daniels was before? I'd heard the name. I wasn't familiar with exactly, like, I couldn't have picked her out of a porn star lineup. And I've only recently familiarized myself with her body of work, so to speak, which I found to be quite raunchy, but somewhat uninspired.
Right.
But she said she wanted to set the record straight. Let's have a listen here.
Because it was very important to me to be able to defend myself.
Why does the record need to be set straight?
Because people are just saying whatever they wanted to say about me. I was perfectly fine saying nothing at all. But I'm not okay with being made out to be a liar or people thinking that I did this for money. And people are like, oh, you're an opportunist. You're taking advantage of this. Yes, I'm getting more job offers now. But tell me one person who would turn down a job offer making more than they've been making, doing the same thing that they've always done.
The president watches 60 Minutes. If he's watching tonight, what would you say to him?
He knows I'm telling the truth.
And yet, none of it really matters. I think it's just an opportunity for her to make some cash. You know what? And being the unabashed capitalist that Donald Trump is, I don't know. Like, apparently this is having, and this is, you know, how much do you want to believe the rumor mill? But I can't imagine that this isn't having some kind of effect on his relationship with Melania. Can you? Like, I mean, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter if you have an arrangement. I think that a lot of people that do have open relationships are just like, yeah, I'm fine with you doing that sort of stuff, but if you could not do it in a way that publicly humiliates me, that would be great. And there is no one more public. There is no one more well-known. There is no one on the face of this planet that is more instantly recognizable than Donald Trump and Melania Trump. Every last human being on this earth knows who they are. So I have to imagine this is doing some actual damage to their relationship, because there's just, I don't care how superhuman and well-adjusted you are. It can't be easy. You know what I mean? It can't be easy.
Yeah, it's interesting. Melania, I can't imagine what she thinks in that marriage anyways.
Well, I think I can imagine what it is she thinks. I don't know if she was ever bargaining for this. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if she really ever, you know, I knew she was signing up for something that was definitely unusual, but I don't know if she was thinking all this would happen. I think being a first lady was surprising to her. I think the idea of being a first lady whose husband has been publicly accused by a porn star of having sex out of wedlock with her every single day for the last 6 months was probably not part of what she signed up for.
Sometimes you just know you're done. You're longing for that shining sun. You walk these streets most every day. You're waiting to get washed away. Radio. 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 104.1.
Now, more AD on the radio.
I guess the other part of the reason why Stormy Daniels might be doing all this now is because she could have buyer's remorse with her hush money. You know, the deal she took. Yeah, oh, man, I'm keeping my mouth shut for $130,000. I didn't know he was going to be elected president of these United States of America and leader of the free world. $130,000 seemed like okay cash for this back in the day. Now I understand that my story is worth millions. And do you think she's going back because she realizes there's so much more loot to be had?
It's a possibility. I think she definitely realizes that it's Number one, worth a whole lot more than the 15 grand she sold the story for. Number two, worth a whole lot more than the 130 grand. But the 130 grand also has a lot to do with the little bonus that came out of this whole little interview thing that's could be a whole lot of something and it could be a whole lot of nothing.
Oh, because like I always thought $130,000 was such a weird freaking number, and my best guess at the $130,000 hush money was that like Donald was like, any more than that you'll be in a higher tax bracket, it'll wind up not paying off. Like I could give you 150, but you know what I mean? Like I was just
Probably
like $130,000 is a very unusual amount of money to arrive at. You know, like I don't. So you have a theory as to how that number wound up being 130,000?
Not the number, it just has to do with the money. So the thing that she said that she could not talk about in the interview, part of the hush agreement for the 130 grand was, and I'm sure you remember this, she was supposed to turn over all the images and the messages involving Trump to him. He asked her, did she turn them all over?
You know, by the way, sidebar, this is such an unbelievably complicated and bizarre time in our history and in political history that the notion that there's pictures of Donald Trump floating around there on the internet, I'd completely forgotten about that.
I know. I had as well. That's what makes this so interesting.
Yeah. Anyways, go on. Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt.
No. So he asked her if she did in fact turn it all over. And her response was, I can't answer that right now.
Oh.
My attorney has recommended that I don't discuss those things.
Well, I think, one of two things. My attorney has recommended that I don't discuss those things means there's more story to tell. I'm getting who knows how much for 60 minutes, but wait for the sequel. There's a part 2 to all this, and it's up for whoever the highest bidder might happen to be. So I think, she's holding stuff back because she realizes that if she gives it all away in one shot, well, the gravy train comes to an abrupt stop. And so yeah, there you go. There might be, that might be a thing. And I think, isn't there allegedly a Monica Lewinsky-esque dress situation? Like there's something that contains some presidential DNA that she might have in her possession as well.
That one I'm not sure about. I don't know. That kind of makes me a little sick to my stomach. That's. I figured you'd. I figured you'd be making some sort of joke about it being orange. I don't know.
One of those Cheetos that got left in the oven a little too long.
There we go. That's where it is. That's
what's interesting? This has nothing to do with anything, but you know the rapper Cardi B, right?
The only familiarization I have with a Cardi B is talking about it on the show. It's a she, isn't it? Is it a she?
Yeah, I think she was part of some reality television show, and now she's like literally the biggest rapper on the planet. She's that one that sings a song, I Make Money Moves. That one, you must have heard that coming out of someone else's car at some point.
I don't dance now, I make money move. Say I don't gotta dance, I make money move. If I see you now speak, that means I don't with you. I'm a boss, you a worker. I make bloody moves. Now she say she gon' do what or who? Let's find out and see. Cardi B, you know where I'm at, you know where I be. You in the club just to party. I'm there, I get paid a fee. I be in the.
Because I don't know that song, and I actually listen. I like rap music, and that's the funny thing. I'm like not some like nerdy like old dude. I like rap music. I'm just not good with like.
You could not have sounded more like Roseanne in that one episode where she's like, "I'm cool, I'm hip, I like that Snoopy dog, I like that Snoopy dog."
Oh my god, I'm just not. I figured she had to be some sort of like reality show thing or some sort of YouTube star because like. I don't know what it is, this Cardi B thing. I don't know what it is.
I think what's interesting is, she blew up from reality TV and Instagram, and then she just had a song that I'm someone who not only is a hip-hop fan, but I take hip-hop very, very seriously.
Okay, I don't take it seriously.
It was everything to me for a large chunk of my youth, and like a good rapper is, there's a reason why, like I wore out 4 copies of KRS-One's music. That one, by the way, sidebar. If you want an education in the golden age of hip hop, and I think it came out in 1995, which is arguably the year that the good stuff for the most part stopped coming out, he said, sounding like an ancient fuddy-duddy. But like, there was a real, hip hop was sort of, for a very long time, had a real focus placed on artistry and production and turn of phrase and the ability to write music. And it's just write music and write lyrics in just a very different way to what it is now. It's just, it was an entirely different game, and your success was predicated on your originality and your ability to do things that made people go, I had not thought of things that way. That was impressive. I think that's what I loved about the genre, was that it was pushing boundaries, and it was pushing boundaries in an intelligent and an aggressively intelligent sort of way. It was not a knuckle dragger sport. And if there's one album that sums up all this, it's a self-titled KRS-One album with DJ Premier producing. Came out in 1995, and after that, everything went steadily downhill. But here's what's interesting about Cardi B. She did manage to write a song that 100 million% connected with massive, massive amounts of people, and she immediately became the biggest rapper on the face of the planet. Whether she'll sustain or not is unknown. Rap music is famous for being here today, gone later today. But now she's a big time star. She just found out that she's in a big time tax bracket, and she started going off about it on Instagram. I can't wait to play this for you. We'll get into it next.
Leave the stimulation to the professionals.
Everyone is so smart.
KPRC, more stimulating talk radio.
There's something happening here, and you should know what it is. The dumbing up of America. Now, more AD on the radio.
So Cardi B, whose music we heard a little bit of earlier, and don't get me wrong, I don't think she's bad. There's a lot of music, that, like specifically for me, for somebody that takes hip hop really, really seriously, I think there's a lot of music doing really well that is spectacularly awful. And I don't think she's bad. I just don't find there to be anything overly special about her music. I don't get it. I don't understand why it has connected in such a massive way. But the bottom line is, it's connected in a massive, massive way. She's got over 500 million views on YouTube, and that translates into some money. And now that Cardi B is a big time star, she's just found out that she's in a big time tax bracket. She started going off on Instagram wanting to know what the government is doing with all that money that she just handed over. Have a listen to this.
So the government is taking 40% of my taxes. And Uncle Sam, I want to know what you're doing with my tax money, because you know what I'm saying? Like, when you donate to a kid from a foreign country, they give you updates of what they're doing with your donation. I want to know what you're doing with my tax money, because I'm from New York and the streets is always dirty. We was voted the dirtiest city in America. What is y'all doing? There's still rats on the damn trains. I know y'all not spending it in no damn prison, because y'all be giving like 2 underwears, 1 jumpsuit for like 5 months. So what is y'all doing with my money? I want to know. I want receipts. I want everything. I want to know what y'all doing with my money.
And I honestly think that is one of the most valuable pieces of conversation that's been added to the American dialogue by a musician in a very, very, very long time. What the hell are you doing with this money? And I think she brings up an excellent point. If you make a donation to a kid, or if you make a donation to an animal, or if you make any kind of donation, what do you get? You get pictures, you get updates, this is what your money's doing. This is what your money's accomplishing. Not so much with the American government. Shut up, go away, hand us your money, don't ask questions or you're going to get in trouble. I really have to say, as much as I don't necessarily find her music to be special, more of that, please. More of that. if you would be so kind, and you will have my full and absolute support. Thank you, Cardi. Let's just listen to that again, because this is a question that all of us should be asking every single time we pay. And you know what? By the way, if you've never been self-employed, you're a little more numb to taxation because it's just taken out of your check. You don't see that money. It just kind of gets taken out, and you see a number. But you don't hand over that money. And if you're a musician, and I went through this the entirety of my life up until a little while ago, when you're a musician or when you're self-employed or when you're an entrepreneur, they request that you make monthly contributions, to your tax account. And then you do your taxes in April and any difference is sorted out. I never once did that, because it reminded me to stay angry, and it reminded me to question, and it reminded me that this is a whole lot of freaking money I'm forking over all the time. And when it's taken away from you little by little, bit by bit, and it never actually hits the bank account, when it's taken straight out of your paycheck without ever going into your checking account and goes straight into Uncle Scam's coffers, it's easier to ignore. But when April rolls around and you have to hand over 40% of what it is you made, that's going to make you ask some very important questions, which is exactly what Cardi B is doing.
So, the government is taking 40% of my taxes. And Uncle Sam, I want to know what you're doing with my tax money, because you know what I'm saying? Like, when you donate to a kid from a foreign country, they give you updates of what they doing with your donation. I want to know what you're doing with my tax money, because I'm from New York and the streets is always dirty. We was voted the dirtiest city in America. What is y'all doing? There's still rats on the damn trains. I know y'all not spending it in no damn prison, because y'all be giving like 2 underwears, 1 jumpsuit for like 5 months. So what is y'all doing with my money? I want to know. I want receipts. I want everything. I want to know what y'all doing with my money.
Sounds like a perfectly reasonable question to me. So unbelievably lucid and clear-headed and clear thinking. We should all be asking that of our politicians every damn day. What are you doing with our money? No, seriously, what are you doing with it? What's actually going on with it? I have 40% less money than it says I should have on my check. What's going on with that? Thank you, Cardi B. Keep it up. Good thing. Good job. You're doing your thing, and we are all proud of you. All right, Travis, let's do some news, shall we?
We shall. Anderson Cooper interviewed Stormy Daniels last night on 60 Minutes.
Mm-hmm. Also, last night, by the way, the one part of the story that we didn't cover when we discussed the Stormy Daniels interview with Anderson Cooper. Side note, last night, thousands of guys watching 60 Minutes with their wives awkwardly pretended to have no idea who Stormy Daniels is. Oh, she's an actress of some sort? Interesting. I wonder if I've seen any of her work. Uncomfortable.
Awkward.
Yeah, having Anderson Cooper do the interview saves Stormy Daniels having to wear her "Hey, my eyes are up here" t-shirt. Zero sexual tension whatsoever.
Oh boy,
a lot of Trump supporters a little skeptical about Stormy Daniels. Doubt what she has to say. Some might say that ironically they found it hard to swallow. All right.
Are we done? Are you ready to move on?
Yeah, I think so. Okay. I think we better.
Okay. President Trump says he is very happy with his legal team.
Which means if you're on his legal team, it's time to start dusting off the resume.
During yesterday's Palm Sunday service, Pope Francis said young people should keep on shouting and not let anyone silence them.
I like this Pope. I mean, he's no longer the new Pope. He's just the Pope. But, I like some of the things he says. Like, don't waste food. Wasting sin is a food. You don't have to be Catholic to get into heaven. Just be a good person. And it's okay to shout in church. Young people don't need to keep quiet. It was the first time in history a Pope has quoted the Isley Brothers as well. It's a different kind of Palm Sunday service. It was when he went, whoa, that I really got into it. Go on.
Chihuahua-like skeletons have been found in many Mesoamerican archaeological sites.
And that is what Mesoamerican archaeological sites have in common with Paris Hilton's purse. Go on.
A new report shows women in Brazil want sperm from blonde, blue-eyed, handsome American men.
So better luck next time, fellow members of the radio community. We do not fall into that category. Really? Brazilian? Oh, well, okay. All right. Have you heard this idea that we're all going to end up really tall and mocha colored? Like in 1,000 years, the population of the Earth will all be like one color, and it's going to be, we're all going to be sort of like this mocha colored, blue eyed thing that looks sort of like it was funny because there's some cartoon of the future that predicted what we would look like. And scientists actually went, you kind of, whatever this cartoon was, I can't remember what it, but they're like, they sort of got it right. We're all going to be about 6'5", and we're going to be tall with blue eyes and mocha colored skin. That's what the human beings of the future are going to look like.
Oh, wow.
We're all going to be one color, and boy, will that make life easier. It's kind of like those Star Trek jumpsuits. You know what I mean? The great visual equalizer, like school uniforms. Did you have to wear it? You probably didn't have to wear a school uniform growing up, did you?
No.
I didn't, but like, because I went to school in England where everybody has to wear school uniforms, everybody else did. And you know what? As much as I would have hated it when I was a kid, as an adult, I kind of see the value in it, just because like you don't have to worry about what you're going to wear. School doesn't become a fashion show. Kids don't have to worry about keeping up with the Joneses and all of the above. And that visual judgment that people make of you based on your exterior experience was largely removed from the English schooling system in many ways. And I guess if we're all kind of like uniformly one color 1,000 years from now, boy, that would make life easier. People wouldn't get so mad about being judged by the color of their skin, and then conversely, people wouldn't judge by the color of skin. And sounds, oh man, can we get there quicker?
Yeah, no kidding, right?
That would really solve a lot of people's problems. All right, what else?
Elton John turned 71 yesterday.
Yeah, Candle in the Wind. One of his biggest hits. Nowadays, it's more like lighting a candle after breaking wind because I've lost control of my lower digestive tract.
Danica Patrick turned 36 yesterday.
Yeah, she left for her birthday party at the same time everyone else did, but somehow managed to arrive last. Go figure.
Wow. Wow. So Hulk Hogan may return to the WWE.
How old is Hulk Hogan now?
He's like 64?
64 years old.
Yeah.
That's impressive. Now when he gets into the ring and rips something off his body, it'll be his adult diaper. But nevertheless, impressive that he can put himself through that kind of physical punishment. He must have like a really good sort of like steroid doctor. You know what I mean? Because like all these other guys.
No, they all do.
No, they all do. But he's still alive. Like there's all these other wrestlers that have been on all sorts of like weird meds. And, you know, I don't know anything about it. But, you know, performance enhancing drugs or testosterone or whatever the hell it is wrestlers take to be able to continue to wrestle and beat up their bodies that way and to be huge and strong and all these, you know, these things. Like Hulk Hogan's still there. He hasn't dropped dead the way a lot of other people his age have, and he's still doing it. So he must have like a better roid doctor than the rest of them, because the other ones are not making it the way he is, and like they're not going the long haul the way he is. Go on.
It's crazy. Other WWE news, superstar The Undertaker, also still alive, turned 53 on Saturday.
Did you watch wrestling? Was that a thing for you when you were a kid?
It was. In fact, I actually even got to be on an episode of WWE Raw right before I moved to the morning show.
No, really?
Yeah. They Cole and Taz, who were two of the commentators, came in to do a radio show, and I got to be on the show. And I never saw the episode of Raw. I assume it was pretty bad. I mean, I assume it was really, really bad.
You got to look around. It's got to be on the internet somewhere.
I've looked, man. I cannot find it. I ran into somebody at the gym once, and they were like, "Dude," I was like, "Yeah," and they were like, "I saw you on wrestling," and I was like, "Oh my god!"
Wait, so what was the bit? What did you do?
they were doing just some radio show, and they had asked me to run the board for them, and I ended up being on the show with them, and they brought in a camera crew, and essentially what they ended up doing was just making fun of me the whole time, and it was actually humiliating.
Would you like to know what my small piece of wrestling fame, my small 15 minutes of wrestling fame, I wrote the theme music, or rather, one of my songs got used as the theme music for Diamond Dallas Page.
Oh, that's incredible.
It was pretty cool. Like, I got to admit, like, I get this call at 8 in the morning one day, and it was just like, "Hey, D, this is DDP." I'm like, "Sure it is." Click. And then, like, calls back. He's like, "No, it was really DDP." Because, like, my song was in that movie. Do you remember Ready to Rumble?
Yeah.
My song was in the soundtrack to that movie, and he really liked how it looked when he came on screen to it and decided that was going to be his theme music. And for a little bit, it was. The end. Cool story, bro.